You know what time it is. 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 Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We are talking to you guys about a Christian Obumseli situation that's happening in America at the moment. I first want to say my condolences to the family because losing anybody, irrespective of the situation, is painful, and no one should have to go through that. But we're going to talk about the situation from a different angle. So if anybody is watching, I just want to let you guys know this is not a bashing video. This is not a ha video moment. But this is a video that's going to talk really truthfully about the landscape that we're living in right now. So if you're new to the channel and you want to hear more of my thoughts on this subject, like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there, they're hot. All right, let's get into this video. I've done it live. So good morning to anybody who's in America, because I know you guys are going to get this early. Okay, you probably get this out of the way to work. I want to have this conversation because I really think it's important. I've got about 13, 14 points that I want to really go through really, really quickly. As most of you might be aware, Christian Obumseli unfortunately was brutally murdered by his girlfriend. Then she's an OnlyFans model, and unfortunately he died at her hands by Courtney Clenny. She was an OnlyFans model. Now, the situation behind this, what makes it so, I guess, difficult is at first, when we first heard this news, I think there was outrage. There was people, saying, how come, a white woman has got away with murder? A white woman has managed again, once more, to kill one of our black brothers. There was complete outrage at first. And then the tide began to turn when tweets began to surface of this young man about how he spoke about black women, specifically on his Twitter timeline in 2012. Now, 2012 is 10 years ago. It was a decade ago. But I did some quick research. I was going through Twitter, and there was a tweet about in 2020 where he put up, it was a meme. And it was a meme where it was some photos. I wonder if I can find it for you guys. And I saw it and I said, so he was, he still has some certain thoughts towards the black community. And unfortunately, these kind of things, we can't bypass. And I want to just say the scripture, which is really important. By your words you shall be condemned, and by your words you shall be, in a sense, freed. You've got to be very careful because there's life and death in your tongue. Someone might say, yeah, it's been 10 years since, he said that original tweet. But there was a tweet that was done in 2020 where it was a meme. And in the meme, it was of a black woman, a black man saying, I want to be a rapper. A black woman saying, I pretty much can't support you. And then a white woman underneath it saying, I'll work 7 jobs. That mindset, okay, where we're starting from, that mindset that he still retweeted that in 2020 tells me you haven't finished off 2012 tweets. And I put that as a basis because what I want people to understand is, I've been talking about this for some years now, and I said the only way for black men to kind of learn about what gemstone that you have in your community is to lose it. Because some of us are so privileged, and we're so thinking that because we've had black women supporting us for so long, they're just going to be there. They're just going to be there. We are treating black women like how men treat women when that girlfriend, okay, that girl that is always going to be there. So she becomes your safety net, right? Because if you and I'm saying this from a point of view, I want people to understand this from a point of view. Again, I am a Christian and I am all down for God having justice and saying all these things, but I'm also human. And so I have to understand things from a political, a social, economical, from a social point of view as well. And when I look at it from a social point of view, right? When I look at it from a social point of view, I have to ask the key question. If you belittle the community you came from, I'm not even talking about black men. I'm talking about that black men disrespecting black women, right? If that's who you want to disrespect, you can't ask them now. The family can't, the family can cry and ask for people to support them, especially black women, because that's who you're really asking. Because black men ain't standing up. Let's be honest, we ain't getting up to go and march. All right, let's be honest, we ain't getting up to march. Let's keep it a buck. I'm not trying to be rude, but let's be freaking honest. Us black men are not marching. We're not doing it. Those days are done. The Martin Luther King days, they're done, right? Until we start to see, mass oppression from, I guess, our racial counterparts onto black men, we ain't marching nowhere, right? Because it's not affecting us like that at the moment, right? We found an area of privilege, we found an area of power, and so for us, this ain't our business. So we ain't marching, okay? So the community that the family are asking for to stand behind them isn't black men, because we're not marching. You understand? The community you're asking for is black women who end up marching, who then bring in black men, those who are conscious enough to come and march with them. So here's the thing. If you've been disrespecting black women your whole entire life, or should I say from 2012 to 2020, you've been disrespecting them, right? Putting out tweets like, black women disrespecting themselves on TV. Black women came out the womb, twerking their asses. You've been tweeting that stuff. Might have been 2012. Yeah, I say, yeah. But then I said, when 2020 came along, it wasn't no different, right? When 2020 came along, it weren't much different. So now I've got to ask a question. If you want the communities to stand up, did you stand up for the community? Now, someone might say, we shouldn't do an eye for an eye. Well, this is not heaven. I keep telling people this. Why is someone buzzing up my phone like that? Damn. It is early in the morning. Listen, it is 2022. We live in a dark world. I tell you this all the time. Not everyone's a Christian. Not everyone's going to turn the other cheek. Not everyone's feeling very Christ-like. So if you disrespect your community, I don't know what you want that community to now stand up and do. You see, if you disrespect that community, I don't know what you want to now ask that community, can you stand up for us? Because now people are looking at the situation and they're looking at this instance between Christian Mbusile and Courtney Clenny, and you want to make it a racial thing. It is a racial thing. It is a white woman killing a black man. But here's the thing. The black man also disrespected the black woman. So now who you looking to march? And here's the thing that really makes it sad, I want to give people perspective. That's always my objective. Give people a different understanding, perspective. Okay. I want to give people perspective. When you glorify toxicity in a white woman, but you make comments like black women come out the womb twerking their ass and they're disrespecting themselves on television, right? When you allow that to happen, right, you're in a very dangerous place, right? He's in a very dangerous place, right? Percy, I'm going to address this issue because there's another issue I want to address when it comes to the black manosphere. There's a reason why I want to say this. Trust me, I'm going to come to that. But when you make comments where you glorify a white woman for being toxic, but you wanna look at the situation with black women in a way that when they say or do anything that they're ratchet or this, I look at you confused. And then I look at the fetish that you have behind it. And then I look at the white supremacy that has infected the way that you think. See, this is the real case and situation we're talking about. That's why I'm saying to you, like, the way you glorify this woman, listen, it's got nothing to do with preference. And this is my problem. Preference is not the issue here, right? I'm not even going to make it the situation what I saw with, what I saw on internet where it was, oh, because he dated a white woman that we shouldn't support. No, that's not what I'm talking about, right? If you're in love, that's cool. But you downgraded your community and I'm talking specifically about black women first, because I'll deal with black men because it talks about a different situation. Okay, when you praised one for having toxic traits, downgraded the other, you showed what side you were. You showed what community was, and that's okay. Now, I need your family also at the same time to communicate with that community, because the black women community are not responding, and they're not going to. If I disrespected my community, right? The audacity to even want to go back to a community and be like, "Yo, I beg you, support me." Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want people to forget what has been done, and people, and this is what I'm going to go back. It reminds me of the Will Smith situation now, because somebody will say it was just words. I mean, it wasn't violent what he said. It wasn't violent what he did. He didn't kill anyone, but you were killing people verbally and emotionally and mentally, and your words had power. This is exactly what I talk about the Will Smith situation, about people saying it's only alopecia jokes. Your words become violent. The Bible tells us this: life and death exists in the tongue. It didn't say in your fists. It said in the tongue there is life and there is death. Words have power, right? So when someone gets up and slaps you in the face because you said something, that's because your words have power. And in this situation we see with Christian Obumseli, it's so sad. It really is. It is sad because it was just tweets, but those just tweets were here talking about a community in a way that could have hurt somebody. How do we know his tweets didn't let somebody kill themselves? How do we know that his tweets didn't let somebody now say to themselves, I don't want to live? So I can't just say it's just a tweet. I can't just say it's 2012. I can't just say, you know what, it's there. Because if I didn't see tweets that kind of turned it around, unfortunately, I can't really say anything. You know what I mean? Was there work that was being done to overturn the work that you did in 2012? Was you a community leader trying to push to make sure that everything you did in the past has now been transformed? Did you do work to make sure you're fighting for your community to show everybody what I did in the past was wrong? So it's okay. We can say, oh, he was only 10, or he's only 12, or he's only 15, or whatever he was in 2012. Yeah, we can say that. But someone else who was 15 and 12 at the same age, too, was now feeling disrespected, hurt, negative about themselves, anxious, frustrated, feeling lower than themselves. Their self-esteem was compromised when they read your tweets. Your words are not just words, people. We need to stop trying to make it as if words are just words. Your words are not words. They have power. So I'm saying again, for those who are wanting maybe black women to stand up and fight. I know black women are not standing up and fight because I've seen the tweets, baby. Okay. But I'm for those who are wider market, trying to get them to understand this is not their fight. Because when you disrespect them and when you hurt them, you can't now ask the injured party now to come and fight for you. It's actually really, it's actually disrespectful in that moment that you would disrespect them in such a way and then call upon them because you now need them. And I'm saying it from a social point of view. I'm saying it from a Christian point of view. I would tell you, turn the other cheek. But since I know I live in this world, I live in this world. I'm talking about a Christian point of view versus a social point of view. The two are different. I know what the Christian point of view is. Y'all should stand up and fight. But I know what the social view is. They ain't gonna stand up and fight. They ain't gonna do it. All right. And so people need to understand that. People really do need to understand that. Um, I wanna also, uh, say, that the second part of this is I tend to keep tabs on Black Manosphere and did it. And the kind of sentiment at beginning was, you know, before the release of some of his conversation around Black people in general, it was more of a case of, well, that's his preference. Okay. It was more of a case of that's his preference. Okay. That's his preference. His preference is white women. Until some of his other conversations was about disrespecting the whole black community. And I'm gonna say it again because some of you don't understand. Do you know why a lot of the people didn't run to Chris Rock? Let me just listen to me very carefully. I like to use different things to bring understanding. Do you know why people didn't run to Chris Rock, the black community? Do you know why the black community, seemingly within the walls of the echelon, didn't run to Chris Rock? Do you know why they weren't defending Chris Rock? Because when you let white folk begin to disrespect black folk, you are not black king. You are now becoming a traitor and now becoming somebody who treasons black community. When you let white folk begin to make nigger jokes, I can't even make money off this now, this video, because the content is now wild. But when you let white folk begin to make comments about the black community and let them joke about making nigger comments, you ain't gonna be black king folk. So we ain't about to support you. That's why when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, the black community within that sphere didn't run to him. They run to Will Smith. So irrespective of what what people feel about Jada and Will Smith, in that moment, they didn't respect Chris Rock. That's the wider conversation, which is why we're telling white folk to mind your business, because this ain't about y'all. You don't know the history, you don't know what's going on, and you can't read the room. There is nuance to what's happening, but all you were seeing was a slap. And in the same situation, this unfortunate situation with this black man where he has disrespected the black community. I saw the black manosphere creators saying, yeah, we get it, why black women aren't supporting, because you don't know that. No, they were only saying that because they were also disrespected. Proving my point. Black men ain't about to march. They ain't about to march. They never were about to march. And if you disrespect black men, you can guarantee they ain't doing nothing, let alone black women. And black men will begin to understand what it means, not divesting. This is a key word. It's not divesting. They will understand when we say decentering black men from the conversation. I had to learn this. I've told you this already. I had to learn this. This is something that when I speak to my friend, I'm like, I don't really like what she's saying. But when you start to decenter black men, meaning when black men ain't always the reason, when black men aren't the reason for your happiness, when black men aren't the topic of conversation in every single thing that involves in a black woman's life, when you take them out of the equation and black women do what's best for them, black men will finally realize life ain't that great. I'm not talking divesting. Divesting is you wanting to go with white men and other racial counterparts. I'm not talking about that. People who stay in that lane are limited. I'm talking about decentering men, or at least in this section, intersectionality, black men from the conversation. When black women start making decisions not because of black men, not because they are putting black men in the center of the situation, but they're taking them out of the equation, black men will finally realize we ain't had it as good as we had it before. Your safety net's gone. Your safety net's gone. Right? Your safety net's gone. So I'm trying to bring awareness to make people see that your mindset right now. So you see how we're talking about preference. Preference is fine, but if you begin to disrespect your community, you can't then ask the same community to stand up for you. And then also the deeper layers behind that is how you got to that mindset. Right? Deeper mindset. So I want people to understand, if black women say this is not their fight, this is a question of boundaries. Just in case you thought it was, something else. No, it's boundaries. It's boundaries. We taught them that. I want the black men to see. So if you've got family members who are black men, send them this video so they can understand, because there's another black man telling them this thing. Black women don't need to stand up for this situation, right? Because it's boundaries, right? Boundaries. right? Because remember, as men, we don't respect women that don't have good boundaries, right? We don't respect people that don't have good boundaries. So if black women are saying they're not, this is not my fight, it's good, effective boundaries. Because if they've been disrespected, why should they go and open themselves up to more disrespect? Then they haven't learned. Then they haven't understood the first time when they got disrespected, right? It's effective boundaries. Don't call it even me calling it black women are not going to fight. Let's change it. No, black women are going to have better boundaries. It's not black women not going to fight. Black women have better boundaries. That's all it is. Because if you pick up to fight every single situation where you're being disrespected and fight continuously, you'll continuously be disrespected. Right? So, and listen, the reason, the real reason why black men are silent is because he disrespected the whole community, not because he disrespected black women, right? Because those same men that are disrespectful to black women as well don't want to be disrespected themselves. Yeah. Yeah. So it's sad. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Um, it's yeah. I'll address it. So the initial outrage is because where we do gather forces, where we do join hands, is that it's a first and foremost it was a black man, and then it was a woman. Because what you must understand is privilege. What you must understand is male privilege. It even crosses racial lines. For the fact that audacity that a white woman killed a black man is problematic for black men. That's the initial outrage for black men, right? That's the initial outrage for black men. Um, you know, it's sad, man. It's sad. It's sad. And that's the honest truth, man. And because as men uh we do things that suit us, and that's the honest truth. As a community, that's how it works with our community. Don't get it twisted. White folk are the same. White folk are no different to black folk or black men when I come to the situation. I'm going to tell you again, white men ain't no different from black men. The only difference is they have a certain level of privilege due to social hierarchy, that when it comes to us doing something to their people, their women, they feel disrespected the same way that when black let me not even get too deep, man. Listen, it ain't no better on the white side, ain't no better on the Asian side, and it ain't no better on the Caribbean or whatever what community you come from. It's exactly the same because men are involved and it's the same conditioning. It ain't no difference, right? Ain't no difference. God's gift to Mike said, but Kojo, considering he tweeted this 10 years ago, can there not be grace given when a white person writes a racial tweet years ago? People generally give them grace. We can give them grace. No, the grace can be given. But what I'm talking about is you can't then expect, right? Then the community, because they're not talking about, again, giving grace. But who's fighting? It's not black men, right? It's not black men. Who you're asking for grace from is not black men. They're not rising up to stand up for fight for him. They never have, and they ain't gonna do it for now, right? In this season, they ain't. It was black women that they were asking for. They can be grace, but they don't have to. They don't want to fight now because they've been disrespected for too long, and I can understand that, right? But the whole point was, even I saw another tweet, and it was 2020. He retweeted it, and it's like you retweeted showing again black women being under a white woman. And it's like, yo, like, so let's keep it a buck. You ain't really changed. And number two, it's not even me. It's not, you're not asking for me because I ain't marching. You know my gender is not marching. Black men ain't marching. They ain't. So my friends, he can have grace, but it isn't me you're looking for grace from. You're looking for the women, and they're tired. And not only that, fighting isn't for women to be doing. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, listen, I'm so sorry. Like, they are not lionesses. And I said that wrongly because lionesses hunt, they don't fight. The male lion fight, right? Lionesses hunt, but the male lion will fight for territory. So if they want to go and say anybody should be coming to defend him, it should be black men. But guess what? Black men also feel disrespected by him because they heard what he said about the black community. So there can be grace, but the truth of the matter is, the very community, they ain't on it. They ain't on it. You know what I mean? And that is the problem behind not retracting and doing work to talk differently than what you did 10 years ago, right? So it's unfortunate, it's sad. We don't want to ever see that. I'm not trying to glorify violence. I'm not saying we should just ignore it, but I'm saying that if you ask the community to help to get you justice, the community won't help because the community you're talking about is black women, and that community won't help. Okay? You're going to have to go through the law like everybody else. The special power that you have with black women is not there. They're not involved. So you're going to have to go through the law. You're going to have to go through the legal means and use the law the same way everybody else does. You can't lean on the black women trope now or the black women community to help fight and to get justice. This white woman might just about get away with it. You might have to. You just might have to just go through the legal means and not have the black women support. And this is what I'm talking about. This true too. This true too. What if you're given in grace is setting your boundaries by stepping away? Black people are very forgiving, but what we fail to do is set standards and boundaries to prevent people from disrespecting us. So true. As a black community, we have poor boundaries because we're like a slave. We are like a slave that doesn't know we're a prince. We're like a slave that doesn't know that we're royalty. And so we don't know our standards because we've always been told for the last, 500 years or so at least, okay, we've been told what our standard is. And so we're not sure what a good effective boundary is. We're like a person that has been consistently abused over years, over the years, over years, and we don't know what good boundaries. And we're finally coming out the other side where we're trying to heal from our traumas, and now we're seeing boundaries. And guess what? When you start putting out boundaries, those are people who didn't used to interact with you in a certain way, get annoyed that you have boundaries. That's black men, that's white folk, that's Asian people, that's whatever community you want to call it, Latin American. They all start feeling some type of way because originally they had you in a certain position. Boundaries does that to people. It's that simple. All right. God's gift to Mike. Coach, let us be honest, even if he didn't tweet the stuff of outrage from black women, still would have occurred. You would have seen tweets like, that's what you get for dating white women. But let's be honest. Let's be honest. There would have been a lot of black women supporting. There would have been a lot of black women. Let's not pretend. I can't pretend as if I haven't seen over the course of years black women being the first to jump up, say, we're ready to go. 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 It happens every single time. And it started happening for this situation. And then the tweets came out and people were like, nah, sorry, we tired. Oh, child, we tired. We tired. And that's what we heard. So no, I unfortunately I don't agree with that God's gift to Mike. I don't agree with that. Black women were ready to ride. Black women were ready to ride. They were. But then the tweets came out. You know, you know, we were ready to ride. So uh this yeah, it's new. It's not this is a new development, bro. It's like this is good boundaries from now. Um, you know, um, it's It's good boundaries. That's what I would say. It's good boundaries. And again, I think we as a black community, as men, need to learn this lesson. And I've been saying it for time, that hard head makes for a soft behind, and sometimes you must feel, because some of you are not listening. Right? So if they want someone to stand up, they better get the black men to stand up. Those who were in support of his madness, they should rise up, man. That's the community. You know, that's a community. So um it's sad to see that. Um, and again, is our condolences uh you know to the family. Our condolences. This is not about disrespecting the family, but this is maybe giving you some idea as to why maybe the community you're asking for are not riding out. Um, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, um, it's unfortunate. Now, see, Lytel, I appreciate you, doing this, right? But this is what I'm talking about. What you just did there is all lives matter. Like, you see what you just did there, yeah? It's an all lives matter situation. That's what you just did. People said Black Lives Matter, you just went all lives matter. That's essentially what you did. It don't matter what Jason Pope did. They've chosen on this occasion, they're not fighting, sir. Do you understand? They've chosen this moment, they're not fighting. So to bring up another situation to try and counteract, you're doing what white folk do all the time. This is what I'm talking about. As black men, we need to learn to do better. You're letting your pride and you're letting your privilege interact with the situation. Think. I'm challenging you to think. I'm challenging you to think. This is the moment they've chosen to not respond. They said, "Look, we're going to be quiet." They said they're not going to fight. Yeah, I'm not even trying to jump on it. If you want to fight, go and fight. Go and fight. He's there. Go and round them. Go and round the men. Go and round the men, Lytel. Go and round the men and let us go and march. Don't worry about what black women are doing. Don't worry if they're silent. They shouldn't even be involved. It should be you and I. Don't worry about what black women are doing. If they say they're not fighting on this thing, it doesn't matter, because it's meant to be you and I. Who's meant to be marching? The community leaders are men. If we talk about gender roles and we talk about what a society and a community is mostly built over, because men have the physicality, and I'll say this again, societies are built on brute violence. Let me tell you that again, okay? Societies start off on brute violence, right? So the people who are the strongest in a community are men. Therefore, it is up to men to start off a situation, not necessarily by brute violence, but I'm just saying that what we're doing. But it's up to men to defend the community, which is why when warfare happens, they take out men. So if you've got our women fighting our battle, we've actually got it reversed. I'm not saying that black women can't be strong. I'm not saying black women can't be warriors. And our history tells us black women have always been warriors. But what I'm talking about is, let's keep it a buck. Biologically, okay, we should be going, right? So we don't need the women to come and talk on this situation. You, Lytel, we should be grabbing other men. God's gift to Mike and whoever other men are here, we should go and sort out a situation. That's what should be happening, right? So, yeah, yeah. So no disrespect, Lighter. I'm not trying to disrespect you or anything like that, bro. I appreciate your sentiment and thought. I'm just saying that again. I'm not gonna be honest with you. Man, I'm not going anywhere. Okay. There's certain fights I fight and there's certain fights I don't, but this ain't one of them. This ain't one of them. Okay, this ain't one of them for me. Okay, this is not my MO in this particular situation. So we need the other men to go and deal with this situation, because that's what should have been happening, right? That's what should have been happening, truthfully. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there because I don't think we need it anymore. It's a shame we're in this position. All right, it's a shame we're in this position, but it is time that as black men we have to hold ourselves accountable. It's not just about preference or him dating a white woman, or I don't even, it's not even now about the racial aspect. It's now about the fact that, listen, these situations require men to stand up. The problem with these situations and the difficulty with these societies is you need a social, spiritual awakening for a community to wake up. And I'm talking about the men specifically, because until they have that spiritual awakening, when I say spiritual, meaning a whole cloud of people waking up. Until you have that, people don't want to rise up and see things differently. Um, you know, um, so this again, I want to say for the black women, this is not a fight. This is good boundaries. So whenever you hear, you wanna talk, if you want to, if things from us as black men that are crazy, I'm gonna tell you straight. Okay, look, I don't want to say it, but for the wider community, black women need to stop having poor boundaries. This is one of the good boundaries we're showing. Don't get up. Don't get up. Don't get up. Because you need to give us that space for black men to say, we gonna get up. But they ain't gonna get up for this situation. Right? They ain't gonna get up for the situation, that's for sure. They've canceled this one. Okay, they've canceled this one. But I want to say it again, black women, this is not about fighting. It's about good boundaries. We need to change the language. And the reason why I'm saying change the language is because to make people understand, when people say it's not our fight, it changes the dynamic. It becomes about aggression and violence. No, no, no. We're talking about our emotional, mental state. This, for me, is good boundaries. And I'm not here to go and deal with a situation where I've been affected and disrespected. So forgive me, but this is my boundary. And I unfortunately can't go along with it. Can't go much. I got to let the justice system do what the justice system do. Right? So it's unfortunate. I know it's early in the morning for a lot of people, both in UK and America. But I appreciate you guys turning out for this conversation. I'm gonna be back on in a little bit because I'm gonna do a live on ultimatum. I know it's a bit different from what we're talking about, but yeah, yeah, it's whew, it's a lot right now. Black men will stand up. You know, um, the now black women are deciding to have better boundaries. Black men have no choice because there's no coverage. There is no more protection. There's no more cover. You're gonna have to stand up, right, and fight for your right. That is the situation. They will, you know, they will stand up. So, ladies, the moment you learn that this is good boundaries, not to number one, let me put it this clearly. If anybody's listening to this, I'm trying to do more research as well. Around this, and this is why I have a good friend with me who always, when we talk, I deep certain things, but when we begin to decenter men, um from the situation, um when we decenter men from the conversation, when women decenter men from their lives, when your whole life is not, my happiness is dependent upon marriage, and it's dependent upon having children, it's dependent upon having a man. When we take that out of it and you stand on your independence, just like a man does, right? And you stand on your independence, you will start to realize men will stand up because they ain't got no choice. Okay? We ain't got no choice. And this is the final kicker. Men marry women with good boundaries. It is time, women, to have good boundaries. Not that this is not your fight, but you now got better boundaries. All right? So, black men, If this is a fight you want to stand up for, let's stand up for it. All right. But we can't be asking a woman to get up for things like this when it should be us. All right. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. And again, my condolences to the family. It's never easy and it's never fair to lose a family member in such a manner. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys again very, very soon. Little black, you know what time